Hi, hello, what's up, and welcome, one and all. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys today with a 1v1 live game. Featuring, spawning in the south, it's the USSR Soviet Union forces of Koreanpark, whose clan name I can't read because those are Korean characters and I can't read those. And spawning in the north, it's the Overcommand West forces of Zarok. Zarok, sounding there kind of like a comic book villain. I imagine he's like got a sort of half cyborg, like metallic body, and like a really deep voice, and he likes laughing when his opponents are kind of like suffering in his evil traps. So we'll see if his playstyle is able to live up to this evil image I've just painted of him. Now the commander, going to choose a commander off the bat, so this gives me an opportunity to pan around the map. This, of course, is Crossing in the Woods. This map's been in the game for quite some time. I believe it was a community-made map, but making it onto the auto-match ladder, and I'm very happy that it has done so. This is another map which I rather enjoy playing. I think it's actually quite a good map for playing Overcommand. There's lots of scope for interesting positions to deploy your trucks. But having said that, you know, I don't think this map actually favours any team, and one thing I really like about this map is it has no dominant buildings. Like, the most dominant building is possibly this one, or maybe one of these ones on the fuel point. Like, hardly anything in the way of total dominating buildings, so that's really nice, that's really nice. Now, as the first minor scuffles begin round about the 1.5 minute mark, I'm just going to take a second right here to talk about the patch which came out today. Now, this was more of a hotfix patch, not so many changes made, but there were a few notable changes. The Soviet Partisan Doctrine, let's see, which Koreanpark is not packing today. The Soviet Partisan Doctrine, the partisans in there was an error in the numbers when in the last patch. Their rate of fire was double what a PPSH ought to have been. That's now been fixed. That's gone from 12 to 6. Those partisans should not be the DPS powerhouses that they were before. Conscripts here going to come sprint in and assist. Engineers at the back providing garrison fire. But I think actually the Volksgrenadiers are just going to have the weight of fire and accuracy to work through this. Especially since Molotov's not yet on the cards. No tech yet for the Soviet player. As I turn my attention back to the patch. So, another change which is going to be very noticeable, and indeed in this game probably noticeable, is the incendiary grenade for the Volksgrenadiers. Now that has been nerfed somewhat. You can take a view on whether you think that was okay or not. I think it's probably okay. I think it was fine before, but I think, you know, if people are happy with it being nerfed, I think I probably will still be happy with it being nerfed. So I don't think, you know, I think it's okay. So the changes are, when it like instantly explodes, when it lands on its point of impact, it will now do 10 damage, not 20. And also the projectile will travel at a speed of 5, not 10, thereby giving the defending player more time to react to the incoming incendiary projectile. So, I mean, yeah, that sounds fine to me. The Molotov cocktail, which conscripts throw, moves at speed 5, I believe. And it also does 10, not 20 damage when it explodes. So basically, the incendiary grenade now going to be very similar to a Molotov, except instead of 15 munitions, it costs 30. But you don't have to buy, you don't have to, you know, spend fuel researching it. So, you know, you can take a view on whether you think that's fair or right or just. I think it'll play just fine, so I'm kind of happy. So yeah, I think there were a couple of other changes, but off the top of my head, I can't actually remember what they are. If they do come to me, I will. I'll let you know. But those are the ones that stuck out in my mind. There are a few other fixes. Oh, yes, of course. I'm sure a lot of you will know by now there was a bug in the last patch introduced where the Vickers machine gun for the British forces could be given infinite range. Yes, yes, very dirty, very frowned on, but in a way unavoidable for the British player, since the thing which made it have infinite range was to put it in and out of buildings, and in the course of regular use of a Vickers machine gun crew, you will likely be putting them in and out of buildings. So, yes, kind of an unfortunate glitch there. And I think doubly unfortunate because, sadly, it led to the banning of the Vickers MG in a couple of tournaments, which pretty much meant that British forces were a non-entity because, you know, if you take away one of their starting options, and they only have 3, I mean, you know, what are the Brits to do? So yeah, an unfortunate bug, definitely unfortunate timing on that bug, seeing as how at the moment the Operation Charlie Fox tournament is running, which is the biggest tournament in Company of Heroes 2 history. By the way, if you're interested in that, check it out this weekend. The Twitch stream will be running. I wish I could give you an address, but I'm not that organised. But yeah, last weekend saw the preliminary, I think, group play or the or something, and this weekend is the playoffs. So this is the knockout rounds this weekend. The finals, I believe, are on Monday. So all this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think the knockout rounds are running. So just pop on over to CoH2.org if you want to get the address for the stream there and get the details for when they'll be streaming those games. I can't really give you any more information than that, but it's going to be pretty sweet. I'm going to be watching it. Like a reasonable prize pool for a Company of Heroes 2 tournament. It's like in the thousands of dollars, which is respectable. So yeah, worth a look. And now that this patch has come out, hopefully British forces will be an option in that tournament, so that'll be really good to see. So, we're going to turn my attention back to the game now. We've got scuffles all over the map. If you look at the mini-map, there's kind of chaos and confusion reigning in the mid and eastern section of the map. We've got some Jaeger Lights here. They're going to be forced back. A Maxim in a decent position, but on low crew. Some Flame Engineers did make it back here. Now, I imagine that they will have fallen back, and they are. Here they are now, running back to the Soviet base. Got a squad of conscripts making a dive for the fuel point here, trying to delay the teching for the overcommand player, who has constructed Zarok, buddy. Tusk, we need to have words, my friend. He's constructed his battle group headquarters in his HQ, right next to his command truck, which I'm not a fan of. And I'm sorry, this is probably the 10th time that everybody on my channel has heard me wailing on about this. I just don't like it when players do this. I don't think it represents 200 manpower and 40 fuels worth of value, and your first truck, which you're spending doing that. He hasn't even built a single unit out of that truck. All it's doing is healing his men. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that's high enough impact. So, anyway. On this map, I favour... Now, it's a small change, but if you put the truck here, if you put your battle group at HQ here, then that is actually quite a shorter distance and a much easier place to go and heal. And if you're feeling really super sprightly and you take a flank like Zarok has, you can put it here and make for a sort of like lopsided denied flank style play. And you know, don't judge it till you've tried it, because I've had a lot of success with builds like that. It takes people by surprise. It gives you a really nice position from which to apply pressure. It allows you to spread your tendrils through the map at an unorthodox angle. And hey, I don't know, maybe just because people aren't used to it, maybe it's a little bit left field. I don't know, but it seems strong. Feels good to me. Also gives you a place closer to your opponent's base. If you get your battle group at HQ here, it's very easy to get your Schwerapans at HQ here, and I know that's super risky, but whatever, if you're backing it up with Ligs and Rings of Infantry and whatever armor you've got available, all I'm saying is it lets you be very aggressive, and I prefer to be on the attack in this game. I'm an aggressive player. Anyway, a couple of Maxims doing work. You can hear that characteristic World War I technology. There it is, firing away. Very good damage and suppression on the Maxim, one of the best machine guns in the game. 6-man crew, very quick to reposition and re-aim, owing to the fact that, of course, it doesn't have a folding tripod stand, it's actually just got wheels. And there's an incendiary grenade, gonna need a quick fallback, there we go, and that still seemed to do decent damage, though I still think a Model 24 grenade would have been better. They were so clustered, I think a Model 24 grenade, you know, the pre-incendiary grenade, would have probably gotten the squad wipe now. Now, these Storm Pioneers are not focusing fire on the falling back conscripts. There could have been a squad wipe there. Zarok, his attention clearly being spread across the map. Now these Volks Grenadiers going to have to fall back through their own, or through an incendiary field, so that a couple of them going to get mowed down there. The Soviet forces putting up a really good fight. I'm just going to quickly look at the Soviet base to see if the other tech building is appearing. No, it is not, so we've got just the Tech 2 building. So mortar squads, Maxims and Zis guns going to be the options available on top of conscripts and engineers, of course, for the Soviet player. And a decent amount of aggression, despite all this mayhem. Oh, the Flamer squad's going to run at the Storm Pioneers. You almost never want to do this. I can't see this working out well. Ah, yes, of course. Now, that was another change in the patch recently. The handheld Flamers, as in not vehicle-mounted Flamers, were nerfed to some extent, giving players more time to react, and they also do slightly less damage to infantry in buildings. So that change being felt there, being manifested. Jaeger Lights in this building, going to be trading off with this Maxim, and I don't think that's a fight that they can stand to win, so in fact they're just kind of feeding quite a lot of veterancy. They are elite infantry, they are quite expensive, but wow, able to take the crucial point outside his opponent's base. And the reason I say that this is the crucial point, I'll just keep the action on, but if you look at the minimap, you see the territory there, which is flashing red. That is a really good point to cut off your opponent from a lot of their resources. Now, it's not particularly well demonstrated now, because actually the overcommand player Zarok already has all this area. But sometimes you'll find yourself in control of this area, and if you can just push over the bridge and grab this point, you can cut off all these resource points. So this point here for the north player, this point here for the south player, super critical to hold for both teams. If you can hold the one outside your opponent's base, you are in good shape. Now this Maxim's going to move across to a different position, going to be forced back. Wow, I can't believe the Jaeger Lights were able to force a fallback out of that Maxim. They're going to be able to hop out here and grab the fuel point, which they do. And that is all important fuel. Now, is that actually going to count as being connected? Oh dear, these Flame Engineers are actually going to prevent that capture. Oh dear. These are Jaegerlights that really need to get out of there right now. On the left flank, a squad of a Maxim squad going to be displaced by these Jaegerlights. Didn't quite see how that happened. It must have been facing the wrong way, because that wouldn't normally happen. And you can hear and see some German soldiers on the screen right now doing the Bernie dance. And these engineers going to grab that fuel point on the left. Sorry, on the right flank. Now, meanwhile, building some sandbags in a decent position. Here comes a Molotov. Let's see how alert Zarok is. Not super alert. His squad caught in the Molotov, and they're going to use Sprint to get out and into the building. Nice play. Wow, this is going to allow him to trade for a little more damage. It's risky. Yeah, he's still going to have to fall back, but he managed to shoot one more conscript, so, you know, I don't know. Probably not worth it, but a good idea there, just a little late. Now these Volks can push. I like the idea of moving this squad up to here, leaving this squad to take the capture, then pushing both across. You have the second one, the right-handmost one here, the front one here, then you can put on some pressure, get some intel. When you see these conscripts here, you wrap the second squad round here, bring the first one over to here, apply some pressure. 2 squads of Volks, you can totally bully a squad of conscripts, doesn't even matter if you're up at close range, just bully them down. Anyway, marshalling the map, and if I correct the tack, you can see that Zarok, the evil overlord genius, is actually pushing out quite nicely in the face of double Maxims without using a single lag, which is rare. I mean, Maxims are a nightmare to deal with at the best of times for Overcommand. As a grenade barrage coming into this building, forcing the displacement of the conscripts. You know what? I love garrisoning this building. Oh, he's too late to do so. I would really like to have seen a garrison there. And Incendiary going to come out on this Maxim. That will certainly force it back. These guys going to start doing the Bernie dance if they stay there much longer. Oh dearie me, this may actually be an unfortunate squad wipe for the Soviet player. Oh, just going to get out of there. Hero conscript there. Give that man a medal. The Order of Lenin for him, please. And a massive grenade barrage coming out onto this Maxim squad. Goodness me. Zarok is just like, he's just very good at dealing with Maxims. I mean, these are traditionally very difficult. I find them difficult to deal with. You know, if I don't get the right engagements, I find my forces hemmed and suppressed and pushed back with immense amounts of damage pouring off those Maxims as well. And, you know, bad times can start happening. So what I tend to do, I tend to build light guns and try and deal with them that way, which is slower, takes longer. But Zarok, I mean, the Soviet player is down at 370 under 470, and Soviet players, they do not like to be behind by this much at this stage in the game. Soviets traditionally have a pretty decent early and mid game. I'd say Soviets one of the factions which are strong throughout the game, though. So it's not like he can't come back from this. So that's okay. We've got a fight going on here now. Let's see who's gonna whip out a grenade first. I suspect neither. I suspect these Volks are just gonna get back as. This Maxim has them in arc. They're in heavy cover, so that's going to provide a lot of resistance to the suppression and the damage. But yeah, there's the fallback. No point fighting on there. Now, we have a T-70 coming out, the fuel spending for the for Koreanpark, the Soviet player. And guess what we have coming out for Zarok? My respect for Zarok is growing. The evil overlord, one step ahead of the heroic Soviets yet again. He's developing a Jagdpanzer. Now, I got a ton of respect for players who just build a battle group at HQ, build no further tech buildings, do not deploy their second Schwerer which has been on the field for a while, and just spend the next 135, get a Jagdpanzer, especially if it's got sweet camo. I think this unit is very strong and criminally underused by Overcommand players. Now, having said that, if we crack the tactical map, you can see that actually a good spread of Soviet forces taking the crucial victory points, or at least 2 of them, and a fuel point on the left flank. Although he could move for the victory point when he's done that. Most of the Overcommand forces right now pretty much in base. There's one squad in a building over here as I zoom in on that scuffle. So most of the Overcommand forces are kind of hemmed in their base, reinforcing. The T-70 is going to reveal itself over here. So here comes the Jagdpanzer. You can see it on the mini-map. The Jagdpanzer here coming into the rear armor of the T-70. It hasn't been revealed. Now, has he set it to fire at vehicles only? He has. Zarok clearly, you know, he's not going to make that mistake. It's so frustrating when you forget to set that. And like right now, it would just fire at these conscripts and you'd be like, oh, God. Oh, good hit into the rear armor there at very long range. The Jagdpanzer really doing its thing. Now, it no longer has any spotting. Here comes an anti-vehicle grenade. It's kind of exposed here. I'm not sure. I think I like reversing it just till your conscripts have caught up, but that's just me. And I also kind of think I like pushing it because the T-70 is obviously not going to stay cornered up here. It's going to try and escape. So I think you either reverse it or you push it to here to catch the T-70 as it makes a run. Anyway, yep, Resurgent on the right flank, the Axis forces, needs to fan out these squads. He still has the fuel point, so he can spread out and grab the munitions, grab this point, grab the victory point. He's got 3 squads of Volks here. good amounts of Shreks on these Volks too. He's got 2 Shreks out of his 4 Volk squads. Also making very heavy use of Jaeger light infantry, up to 3 squads of those guys, which isn't something I've tried. Wow, pushing into the base. Oh, he really wants that T-70. He's really looking for it, and there's no Zis gun to punish. So the Jagdpanzer able to move with impunity just now. Now, where are the Storm Pioneers? I'd like to... Oh, my goodness, he needs to push them out. Come on, guys. No point hanging around in the base. As the Soviet forces making a land grab on the left flank here. As much ground as Zarok is gaining on the right, he's losing here on the left. The T-70 is going to reposition over here where it knows the Jagdpanzer isn't. But here comes an Oswin to bully the T-70, and in a fight between an Oswin and a T-70, there can really be only one. The flak cannon on the Oswin, scoring good damage. You know what, the Oswin is no slouch. The T-70 does outrun it, but not by much, especially when it's reversing. And this T-70 will be lucky to escape. It's not going to escape. The Oswin is going to chase down its prey like a puma with a rabbit, or whatever, something, yeah. So anyway, yep. Having another crack at the right flank now of the Soviet forces. They're down to 300 under the 434. Not on the clock right now, but he will be shortly as these Volksgrenadiers are making a cap at mid. And there's been constant action this game. I'm really liking it now. I can hear the Storm Pioneers are in the vicinity. Here they are. Wow, they're going to mow down these conscripts. They're in the good cover. They're at very good range for Storm Pioneers. Look at the DPS there. Now, I'd love to see him just repair this Jagdpanzer. The reason for that is the Jagdpanzer is it's not in any danger of dying soon, but when you're at full health, an anti-vehicle grenade from a squad of conscripts will never break your engine. However, when you're at this much health, it will almost always break your engine. So I would love to see him just repair this, because the thing is, with the engine broken, the Jagdpanzer goes from being a super awesome tank hunting, like, awesome unit, to being a massively slow, lumbering liability caught out in a horrible location, probably with a Zis gun, which we do now have on the field, stalking it. So there's basically one anti-tank grenade between this Jagdpanzer and a potential grisly death out on the field. I also don't like its position. Oh, no, these Jaeger lights here are providing spotting, so I don't mind this position. If these Jaeger lights weren't here and he just had it up against Fog of War, I would not like that. But that is not the case. Pushing onto the left now is Zarok, managing to grab the fuel of his opponent. He'll be grabbing this victory point too, as the Soviets making a push through mid. They're going to grab that one. And assuming both of those captures go through, that will still leave Koreanpark on the clock. Now, let's see. We're going to have a scuffle here between Volks in decent cover and conscripts not in cover. We'll see if a Molotov going to change that. Yep, here comes the Molotov. That's going to force it. Wow, it's a grenade exchange here, but the Molotov's going to get the better half of that one. The Molotov, sorry, the conscript's going to get the better half of that one. The Molotov exploding instantly. The 15 munition grenade barrage, pretty underwhelming from the Volksgrenadiers there. Now, Storm Pioneers, there's only 2 of them, so the repair rate is going to be incredibly slow. So I really like building the mechanized regiment HQ here. That's going to be a really good choice for Zarok. A, it's going to boost his resources. He'll be able to use fuel or munition conversion. And right now, look at his resources. He is on top of his spending, man. Pretty low on all of those. So it'll allow him to have slightly more control over his resources. It'll give him an additional source of repairs as a grenade barrage pretty much misses there. These guys need to get out. They're just getting shot by everything. And it'll also give him the ability to diversify his build. Now you see, he doesn't actually need the Schwerepanzer HQ, in my opinion, because he's got the 1-2 punch of the anti-infantry Oswin with the anti-armor Jagdpanzer, both of which are very armored themselves. So he doesn't need the Schwerepanzer HQ. What he needs is diversification of his forces, and that can be provided by either the Puma, which I don't think is a good choice. I think there's a lot of redundancy there with the Jagdpanzer. Both of them very potent tank hunters. The Puma, though, the Puma tagged up with the Jagdpanzer actually is a brutal team, because the Puma is fast and has long line of sight, and it can anchor itself to the Jagdpanzer to take on even tanks that it couldn't normally stalk, because the tank can't take the fight because the Jagdpanzer is pinging it too. So the Puma, not a bad choice, but not, I think, the right one. He could go for a Werferman. I think that is probably the best choice. It would just enable him to break these Zis guns, break these formations, lay down some fire, and make the Russian player sort of fear the sky a little bit. The other choice, of course, is the flak half-track. Now, kind of like that, actually. I think that could be kind of good, because what you can do is you can leave the flak half-track on one of these flanks, just say here, for example, or if you're putting it on the right flank, maybe just here. The range on that thing's pretty big, and it would force your opponent to commit your Zis guns, and commit the Zis guns, or like redeploy anti-tank units over to that flank, and then you can move it across the other flank. So basically, it means your opponent can really only make headway on one flank at a time. Seems like an anti-tank grenade or something going to break the... Oh, I think it was mines. Sorry, it was mines going to break the engine on this Oswin. Again, very frustrating for Zarok. This Oswin coming up for 1-star veterancy. Of course, 2-star is the crucial level when it gets the rate of fire increase. Now, here we have... It's a KV-8 flame tank. Oh, sorry, I haven't actually overviewed the commander of choice for Koreanpark. That is Terror Tactics. Ooh. Okay, oh, this is a really good commander, which I don't see used nearly often enough, actually. I'll just try and frame the action whilst I overview his ability. So he gets shock troops. Everybody knows what shock troops are like. They cost 390. He gets 6 men in the squad. They've got PPSHs, and they're the only squad in the game with body armor. So a very durable frontline assault squad. They also get smoke grenades, frag grenades, you know, everything you need to run in and blow dudes up. So they're pretty cool. The propaganda artillery costs 80, and it suppresses, pins, and forces to fall back your opponent's infantry. Very, very potent stuff. Pretty much the only ability in the game, actually no, there's one other, which causes your opponents to have to fall back. So yeah, very, very good. Incredibly frustrating. Any Axis players who face that on a regular basis will know. Incredibly frustrating to deal with. So, yeah, he gets the ability to build the ML20 152mm gun howitzer. We'll see if he decides to use that. It's a good map for it, actually, because it's quite a small map, and that's a potent piece of artillery. Gets the KV-8 flame tank, which we can see on the field now. A very, very, very potent anti-infantry piece. It can contribute against tanks, but not so much. Loving the camo on this unit, actually. That's pretty sweet. I've not seen this skin. Let's see if we can, look at that. Oh, we get to see it roasting and toasting at close range. Look at that. Very nice. So yeah, pretty cool unit. There is a Jagdpanzer here, that's going to chase it away. These guys don't want to stand in the fire though. They're standing in that fire, that is bad news for them. Zis gun going to force the Jagdi back. Here comes the Osman, that can force the Zis back. Because Zis is only on 4 men and reduced crews. We have a scuffle in mid here. A Molotov or an incendiary grenade. No, we're going to see the grenade barrage. Now, is Koreanpark paying attention? He is, gets the fullback just in the nick of time. That 3-star squad of conscripts going to be saved there, so nice work. Pardon me, from Koreanpark. Yes, sorry. The final ability from the Terror Tactics commander, of course, is the IL-2 Precision Bombing Strike. Now, this costs 200 munitions for a good reason. I've seen that one-hit a tiger. Yes, one-hit a tiger. It's rare, but it happens. What I'm saying is this is a very, very potent anti-armor bombing strike. It's just does damage, and it is precision. It goes where you click it. It is indeed the Russian equivalent of the Stuka bomb. So yeah. And because it drops, I think, 4 bombs. Yeah, 4 bombs. It actually, the total damage is a little higher than the Stuka barrage. Although the Stuka barrage is one single blast that is bigger than the 4 of the Sturmovik brings in. So anyway, turning our attention to the scoreline, we can see that Koreanpark is off the clock. It's Zarok who finds himself losing tickets right now. Of course, he only has 1 point, the one on the left. All of his armor are committed over here. Man, I love this tag team. It's one of the first combinations. When Overcommand first came out and I saw the Scavenge Commander, I was like, hang on a second, so you could get a Jagdpanzer, already one of my favourite units, and just call in an Ostwind, and then you're happy with one truck. You've got like pretty much all eventualities covered. Oh, I like this. Oh, come and flame me. I'll use sprint away with my elite infantry, and then, you know, kind of T-bone you with this Jagdpanzer. But you know what? The Jagdpanzer's... Oh, how did that shot bounce? Super unlucky for the Zis gun there. That's like side/rear armor there. I think getting out of there with the Jagdpanzer are going to be super wise. Push with these Volks, push that back, scuffle on the left. Ostwind gonna force back the Soviet forces that were in this area, and Zarok looking poised to... He just needs to push here. I don't know why he doesn't push with these Volks. There is nothing here except a Zis gun. He needs to push there. Oh, I see now a Flame Squad is here. Now it's too late. And also this Jagdpanzer is facing totally the wrong direction. That's a cause for concern. Now the KV-8 is going to come and have a go at the Ostwind. Now, KV-8s versus Ostwind is kind of an awkward fight where they both kind of brush against each other and really are unable to hurt each other. The Ostwind will occasionally do a pixel's worth of damage with one of its shots, and if it switches to using the cannon, the KV-8 will likewise occasionally do a chunk of damage with its cannon to the Ostwind. But basically, the failing both commanders falling asleep, there should be no reason for the KV-8 or the Ostwind to ever kill each other in a fight where those are the only two firing at each other. Now, if there's other stuff going on, if there's a Zis gun, for example, or a Jagdpanzer gets a few hits, then the Ostwind can pursue a very weakened KV-8 and try and get the kill. Or likewise, if the Zis gun gets a few hits on an Ostwind, then the KV-8 can take a dive, try and use its cannon to get the finishing blow. That's a thing that can happen, but 1v1, probably not going to see much work done by either of those units against each other. Over here on the left flank, some conscripts and negative cover, now dual Ostwinds. That's just horrible news for Soviet forces. This is, I mean, the build here from Zarok, aside from his utterly obnoxious placement of this command truck, which I think is rubbish, the double Ostwind, I mean, like, it's almost like watching myself play a little bit. This is the kind of thing that I do. I mean, because the thing is, the Ostwind is only 100 fuel, so sometimes I'll go up to 3, even 4 Ostwinds, whatever. Just keep calling them in. As long as you got enough anti-tank to back it up, just keep calling them in. And by enough anti-tank, I mean 4 squads of Volks with Shreks and on top of the Jagdpanzer should be enough for now. I mean, failing an IS-2, that should be enough. And you know what? IS-2 is not an option right now, so... So I like calling in some more Ostwinds. I like also reversing this Ostwind a bit further so that the guys from this truck can come and repair it. I like reinforcing your dudes and getting that. Wow. Is he reinforcing these dudes? Yes, he is. Floating about 500 manpower, 86 supply over the 77 of his opponent. Wow. That's pretty good to be in a supply lead. Minefield there, doing really good damage against these, wow, the camo just keeping this guy alive. Is he going to get flamed down? Oh, no, he's not. Wow. So the I think it's at 1 star. The Jaeger infantry get the become invisible in cover. No, it's at 2 star. So and that's what saved that squad there. Undoubtedly, is that one man running through cover was actually invisible for some time. For some time there. Now we're going to see 1 Ostwind and a Jagdpanzer come across the right flank. I like leaving at 1 Ostwind. Pardon me. Well, first of all repairing and then keeping it on the left flank. Just spread your armor. Wow, what are these guys doing? They're just standing around being idle. They could be making a massive land grab on the left flank. What? This is really bad. That is not a good thing. You never want to see that many troops doing nothing. The Jagdpanzer doing a number on the KV-8. Looks like it's going to push, try and take a dive for it here. Not sure I like this. There's 2 Zisguns here. This seems like a really good way to throw away your Jagdpanzer. Now, he has started reversing in time, so I think he's just about all right. But if you can imagine, if that shot that bounced penetrated, he would have been 1 more Zisgun round away from death. So that was about as far as you ever want to dive with a Jagdpanzer. Now, both of the Ostwinds are coming across to this flank. One of them hasn't even finished repairing yet, which is suspect. Yeah, Soviet forces that were in the middle have come across to the right. Clearly, Koreanpark has decided that he doesn't want to make a land grab. He wants to try and take a fight, so he's going to try and make that happen. And I quite like his positioning for this fight. A lot of flame troops, KV-8 flame tank is here. The 2 Zisguns pretty much zoning out the armor for the Axis player. Look at the arc on this, it's just totally covering this. So what he needs to do basically is to send both of the Ostwinds, I think, through this channel here. The Ostwinds can kill these guys by just circle strafing them and flumping them down. So that's pretty cool. Here comes the propaganda artillery. That's going to force back some German forces with the army here, so actually not sure what's going on there. But yeah, so if you bring the Ostwinds through here, that pretty much undoes this entire position. Then you can push with the Jagdpanzer through here, poke this guy down, or at least force him to retreat. Then the Ostwinds can hoover up everybody else, which basically causes a mass fallback, because you ain't going to fight an Ostwind with conscripts, a Maxim, and a couple of Flamer engineers. That is not a thing that occurs. Going up to... Oh, I thought this was a fresh Ostwind. No, I thought it was going up to 3 Ostwinds there. That would have made my day, but no. How much manpower is an Ostwind? Like 320? 280? Yeah, pretty reasonable. The option is there to call in another KV-8. Now let's just go and take a look at the teching for the Soviet player. Now he does have his tank of battalion command. That's great. I would love to see him grab his heavy tank command, because that way he could get an Su-85 on the field. Now everyone, I'm sure there are people out there raising their eyebrows saying, "Oh, Su-85 controversial. Su-76 is better." Well, not in this stage of the game, if you ask me. Su-76 will lose flat out against a Jagdpanzer. The Su-85, on the other hand, can use its focused sight, can use its increased armor, can use the support of the troops nearby to basically take a fight against the Axis armor in a way that the Su-76, although it is definitely the superior of the 2 units, in a way that the Su-76 can't. So I like an Su-85 right now. I think an Su-85 could be nice. I think you can park it in mid here and use its supreme range and rate of fire to just lock stuff down. So anyway. Ostwind's going to push back these engineers. A lot of 3-star units here for both teams, actually, demonstrating that these are players who are on top of their unit control and able to preserve them even in the face of skilled play from their opponent. Now, crucially, the Jagdpanzer now has 1-star veterancy. This enables it to turn itself invisible using cautious movement. Here's the ability right here, so give it a pause there if you're not familiar and you want to just have a read of that. So yeah. Cautious movement, yeah, I think it seems nuts. When you've got it on your Jagdpanzer, it feels broken. It's like cheat mode or something. I really think they need to look at it. Actually, am I serious? Do I really think they need to look at it? Yeah, I think they do. It's just crazy. The ability to make your tank go invisible is just super good. Anyway, a load of conscripts running on through the fire here. They don't care. They're going to get some Shreks into that, but the Maxim's going to force them back. Well, good positioning on this Maxim here. Zisgun's also in a good position. There's a stricken Ostwind out here. The Zisguns could push and stalk, and they're going to. Don't like this with the Jagdpanzer at all. Oh my goodness, with all your tanks, you always want to keep front towards enemy like Claymore mines. But with the Jagdpanzer, it's even more important because of its horribly slow turn rate. And here comes the Oorah. There's going to be an anti-tank grenade coming out, and this is going to enable the Zisguns to get some shots into the flank of the Jagdpanzer. Are they in range? They are in range. The line of sight's there. This could be a dead Jagdpanzer. This probably is a dead Jagdpanzer. It's just gonna crawl out of range. Now the Zisguns are gonna stalk forwards, and I like this a lot because that stricken Jagdpanzer is still out there. These conscripts can still provide scouting. He needs to push forward with the Osmans and force these back, but he can't because the Zisguns are coming in. So this is a massive play from Koreanpark. He takes out the Jagdpanzer, and that was basically, there was no need for this Jagdpanzer to die. It was just turning slowly in the open, then exposing its rear armor. You always push forwards, then use reverse move when you want to get it out. Push forwards, then use reverse move when you get it out. Keep it in a line, facing your opponent. It's not that hard. Well, I don't know, maybe I'm just a genius, no idea. But like, there's no excuse for it to be turning, like, taking a slow turn arc out here. I mean, I know it's the heat of the moment, you're playing PvP, mistakes happen, I do it myself all the time, and when I'm an observer, it's super easy to sound cocky and criticize. But, yeah, just, you always reverse move. I just pick a line. Like, for example, if I was using a Jagdpanzer in this fight, I would probably pick this line to just, like, move it forwards and backwards, always forwards move, reverse move, like, sorry, that's forwards move, reverse move, like that. You know, there's always a line you can pick, and then you can push onto this fight, and forward, reverse, but you always have in your head a mental image of a line which that tank is going to stick on, and then if you want to push it forwards onto a different vector, you pick another line, but always have a forward and reverse axis in your mind. Never just tell the tank to move somewhere, because that will make it just turn around. Never expose that side and rear armor. It's a bad thing. As demonstrated by the loss of this Jagdpanzer. Now he can salvage that wreck, that's the thing he can do. He also has, like, not a lot of fuel actually. He's built a Werferman. Interesting. And I don't hate this choice because the thing is, except for the KV-8, there's no real armor from the Russian forces, and he actually has enough Shreks to kind of bully the KV-8 a bit, which sounds odd because that's infantry-based counters to a flamethrower tank, but I think he actually has enough Shreks, and they're at high enough level veterancy where he can bully that KV-8. Now, and then use the Osmans to clear up the Zisguns. Oh dear, a Zisgun in a terrific position here. Here comes the KV-8. Where's the other Zisgun? Yep, it's paired up. I think we could see the loss of an Osman here. And Soviet forces beginning to flex their muscles, beginning to sense that there's blood in the water, beginning to get the advantage a little bit. If I crack the tactical map, you can see all 3 victory points and both of the fuel points in Soviet hands right now. Although maybe this fuel point actually going to make a transfer soon. But anyway, so, you know, we're talking 15 fuel income for the Overcommand, but under the 29 for the Soviets, 11 munitions under the 58 for the Soviets. So this is a phase of Soviet dominance, and the scoreline has shifted to reflect that. The Axis forces now trailing at 215 under 261. So a little deficit there. Now remember, early on in the game, the Axis forces were ahead by more than 100 tickets. So this is quite the comeback. Soviet forces pushing right up on the eastern flank here, pushing right up to the Axis base. Zarok in a tough spot here, and could he be the consummate evil villain, where it seemed like he was on the cusp of victory, but somehow there's some crazy flaw in his plan, and the heroic Soviet Union forces are able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Is that what we're going to see here? Or is Zarok just playing with his food? We'll see. We'll see. The 251 half-track going to move up. There's a barrage available on that. Now, there's a lovely line of troops here. You could cast that line, I don't know, like this looks good. Now, he doesn't quite have the recon he needs, but here we go. You know, he's backing that up to get... Oh, goodness me, this is a lovely line. Or this line here is also very nice. This line here is super nice. If he takes that now, it's a little late now, actually. Here comes the shot. 6 rockets coming. Yeah, basically only getting mediocre effect. Killing 3 guys on a Maxim is not good enough, so unlucky with the spread of the rockets, and that's often the case with the Werferman. With the Werferman, I find, for on-target barrages, where you're firing across a line of enemy units, I'd say like 1 in 3 actually has good effect. Oh no, propaganda artillery coming down in a great location, forcing the fallback on these 3 squads of Jaeger Lights, who, you know, in fairness, were too clustered. That is too clustered to be. And Zarok now up at like 97 supply, so he cannot purchase, even if he wanted to, he cannot purchase a tank or anything else, like no more, he cannot purchase additional units. Oh, I'm not sure I like the Osmans focusing the KV-8, I think I like the Osmans focusing the infantry a lot better. Oh dearie me, the Zisgun's just doing work at back, he stands to lose this Oswind, and there's the kill. That Zis round just comes streaking through the fight, and if we zoom in to get a Zis eye view on that fight, that was a good shot through the smoke and fire. You know, they couldn't see what the hell was going on in there, but that's what 2-star veterancy will do. Am I talking out of my hat? I believe I might be actually. I'm not sure they actually get it back. Wait, yeah, they do get a weapon control bow. So there we go. But, you know, firing through smoke and fire, as far as I know, that kind of smoke doesn't actually do anything to affect accuracy in this game. Don't want to mislead you players out there. Sorry, just a small incident with my phone going off there, but it is all under control. Ooh, I just heard a demo pack or something go off. That sounded pretty beefy. Oh yeah, here we go with some mines. These Volks getting taken down. 3 of the 5 of them slain there. And down at 162, under 252 now. Zarok in a perilous position. Let's crack the tactical map and take a look at the force distribution here as we approach what's probably going to be one of the final fights in this game. Because basically, we're at the stage now where Zarok has no choice. He has to take a fight. There's no other option for it, I don't think. He can't just try a sneaky flanking maneuver or anything. I mean, he could take a fight and flank out a couple of squads behind it, but he has to take a fight here. And I'm not sure it's a fight he can win, and that's a bad place to be. Oh, getting some good rounds onto the bridge, and there's a squad wipe. There's some veterancy up onto the Werferman. That was a good barrage. Killed 4 engineers with a flamer there who were 3-star vet. So 1 rocket just fell right on that squad, and that's the kind of hits. Those are the money hits with the Werferman. Otherwise, you don't really see a lot of damage. I'm not sure I like exposing this Ostwind. There's no scouting infantry in front of it. The Zis gun is just going to force it back to have to repair for ages. So I don't like exposing the Ostwind here. Here comes the KV-8. Now, where are all of the Volks Grenadiers in all this? Looks like they're all back at base, rearming, reinforcing. Another use of... Oh, he's going to use sprint to try and get out of it, but it's not enough! Another use of the propaganda here, just coming down, going to make light work of these far too clustered Jaeger-Light infantry. And Zarok, if he could call a timeout right now, I feel like he's just a little bit flustered. I feel like if he could call a timeout and just take 2 seconds, have a sip of Iron Brew, sip of water, sip of whatever's going, you know, he'd feel a little bit better, because he's not in a bad position. This many Volk squads, all on 3- and 4-star vet with that many Shreks, that's potent. And these rounds coming in, is that from an ML20 gun howitzer? It is. Sorry, I didn't catch this being built earlier. It's already at 1-star vet with 9 kills, and it is doing good work. So Terror Tactics here, being used for fantastic effect. Koreanpark making use of a lot of the abilities here. And oh, this concentration of forces here. Ooh. Oh dear me. Why is he not being active with these infantry? It's like he's focusing on the Ostwind or something? I don't know. This is a lot of infantry that needs to be active. Ah, he's going to take a dive onto the right flank. Kind of like this. I think if he just threw those blobs, though, here, there's nothing that these forces... I think that they could kill the KVA. I'm not sure, because the Maxims are over here. Actually, where's the other Maxim? Is it in this building? Yeah, okay. Oh, dearie me. Oh, he's just still being idle with all these units. Why? Fight! No! Zarok, this is how you lose games! You're not fighting with like the main meat of your army, you're just kind of trying to skirmish with an Ostwind and some Jaeger-Lights and Storm Pioneers. Now finally the Volks blob is going to move. Here we go. I mean, I'm not a fan of blobbing my Volks. I will never go above 3 Volk squads in a game, and I usually go by with just 2. And that's just because I prefer to have my unit cap free for other units. But, you know, this blob is... he needs to stutter step here. He needs to stutter step. Here it comes, taking another shot. Oh, dearie me, the ML gun howitzer taking its toll. Fall back this man, fall back this man. Oh, that's a great shell! The ML20 gun howitzer doing work here. Now, here comes another flumper. Yeah, that's going to be too far back. Now at 98 under 250, trailing by 152 points. 155 now is Zarok. Losing 3 per tick. Now he's going to stabilize a little bit, I think, here by grabbing this point. Is there another ML20? No. So up to 2-star vet now with 20 kills. The ML20 doing work. What does it get? Additional shells fired at 1-star. Increased accuracy and rate of fire at 2-star. And forward observers improve max range at 3-star. Good stuff here. He needs to just pull these guys back. I don't like trying to lose this. He has another Jagdpanzer though. All is not lost. This is the linchpin of his forces that he's been missing. And now it's back. Ostwinds are like nearly twice as valuable when they're backing up a Jagdpanzer, and a Jagdpanzer is nearly twice as valuable when it's backing up Ostwinds. That's just an approximation. The quantity may be off there. I'm not sure they're twice as valuable, but what I'm saying is those 2 units make each other a lot better. And I have to say, actually, with Overcommand, I think that's more the case with a lot of their units than any other faction. I mean, obviously using combined forces is going to make your units better with any faction. But, for example, Storm Pioneers are, like, by themselves, a liability. They just hand away veterancy. Unless you get a lucky jump on your opponent, you're not going to be, you know, they're not spectacular. Pair them up with Volks Grenadiers, however, and they start looking real great. Likewise, Volksgrenadiers, pretty lackluster infantry, especially in the early game. They pretty much lose to any other infantry squad. They lose to conscripts, they lose to riflemen, they lose to Tommies, they lose to grenadiers, they lose to anybody. But you pair them up with some storm pioneers, and suddenly your opponent has to be shifting position, trying to move away from the storm pioneers, and the Volks can just be hammering in for good damage, and before you know it, your opponent has to fall back. So, over commander, and like Kubu wagons, very weak, pretty rubbish by themselves. Back them up with Volks and storm pioneers so they can repair and have a meat shield, which is also dealing damage. Suddenly you've got an effective combined armed force. So, yeah, Ostwinds with the Jagdpanzer, real good. Like it. Loving the choice here. And this Werferman ready to go with another barrage as well. I almost like just spending the barrage on this Maxim. I wonder if he'll do that. Not sure. It's a little late though, 25 points on the clock. And in fact, that being the case, unless he sends some squads right now to mid, which he is, I'm not sure he's going to have enough time. Why is he stopping at the munitions point? Zarok. Buddy, priorities, mate. Staying in the game more important than grabbing a munitions point, I feel. Okay, well, given that he has not moved his forces onwards, he's going to be out of this game, I rather suspect, because he only has 10 ticks of time left to grab a victory point, and every second that he's not grabbing, I mean, these Jaeger Lights could just use sprint and go and grab it. I think, I think he hasn't noticed that he's about to lose the game. That is the only explanation for this distribution of forces. I mean, look, is he really going to come across here to try and take this? Oh, dear me, I don't like this. Now, all the KV8 has to do is focus this infantry down, and the game is won. And that's what it's going to do. Oh no, they've gone invisible. Oh, that's rather frustrating. Oh my god, if he decaps this. Oh my god, so he's not out the game. He has 3 tickets left. And the Werferman doing some good damage there, breaking the Soviet... I mean, I assume it did good damage. The Ostwind is going to be forfeit, though. The Zisgun brace here is going to destroy it. Oh no, where's the hits, Mr. Ostwind? No hits. That goes down. The Jagdpanzer also went down in that fight. And with that, I think it is fair to say that Zarok is out of the game. Now, I'm going to be a little bit rude. I'm just going to say he's out of the game and start the post-game discussion right now as we watch the forces of your Koreanpark just go on mop-up duty. I think that Zarok fought a very good game there. I think his force composition was on. I think his tactical and strategic calls were good. I think deploying the Battle Gripper HQ here was a mistake. I don't think that's good. I think deploying it here would have been far more optimal. I think, yeah, I think here is the right spot. I like his build. I like the way he went for Jagdpanzers and Ostwinds. I think that worked really well. But a few questionable decisions, like being idle with large amounts of Volksgrenadiers that were here. And also there were a couple of times when units at his base were reinforced and raring to go, but he was busy microing his Ostwinds. So it's weird to call those macro decisions, but they're the closest things to macro that you'll get in Company of Heroes. So a little too focused on the micro there. Needs to take care of the macro a little bit better, does Zarok, but I got a lot of respect for his playstyle, and I think he played a good game here. For Koreanpark, a solid game. He took a real hampering in the opening phases when Zarok was making moves and plays with grenades and Jaeger Lights and stuff. The Maxims, which are normally so strong against Overcommand, kind of almost looked a little bit clunky, kind of almost looked a little bit vulnerable in the early game. And that's got to shake you up a little bit. But Koreanpark kept his head down, built up a nice force of infantry, backed it up with the right armour, coming out with some tanks. The Zis guns were heroes and were never really answered from Zarok. Yeah, so and also I really liked the line tactics. It strikes me, I reckon Koreanpark might have played a lot of Wehrmacht, because the way he used those Zis guns to back up lines of infantry and the positions and the manner that he did, that kind of smells of Wehrmacht play to me. But anyway, yeah, so good positioning, good strategies, also fantastic choice of commander and making use of a lot of that commander's abilities accurately. Plus, first time I've been able to cast on stream an ML20 gun howitzer, and damn, I'm sold. 26 kills, nearly 3-star vet. That thing did well. So clearly a seasoned commander is Koreanpark, and able to use a variety of units in a variety of roles to get the job done one way or another, and that is all that matters. So thank you very much to everybody who watched the channel. Don't be afraid to post some comments if you think I got anything wrong. I probably did all the time. Or if you've got any other suggestions, or if you've got any replays you want to send in, remember it's Magpie842 replays. No wait, it's Magpie replays. Just Magpie replays. @gmail.com. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. This is Magpie842 signing out.